If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, you can for $1 a month over on Patreon. Thank you. So much news to talk about with Sonic Frontiers. And in the past 2 weeks alone, a lot of little details came out.
Yeah. By the way, sorry.
So initially we had 3 trailers. Well, 2 trailers and a first impressions video, which was just, hey, the trailers again, but we edited them a bit differently. And the whole thing about those trailers is they weren't the latest build. They were an earlier build of the game, so that's why it looks choppy and stiff and a lot of popping, and nothing really seems like, oh, play me now.
Yeah.
I don't know why I made it sound sexual, but yes, oh, play me now.
Oh, God.
And everyone else, like the IGN editor who did the first impressions, G4, even Gerard the completionist played it as well. Like, even he said, what I played at the showcase, well, I can't remember what it was called, Summerfest.
Summer Game Fest.
It was completely different compared to what they showcased. And it was a lot more stable, it looked a lot more, complete compared to what they showcased. So, but a lot of people, I want to say this as well, a lot of people seem to be jumping on Sonic fans for getting too excited about a earlier build of a game. It's like, you should have known it was pretty bad when you first saw it. It's like, dude, you didn't fucking know either.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say this now because again, we might go and I don't want to do a tirade, but yeah, I will say when I saw that first video from IGN, is I went basically through the emotions of disappointed, anger, and literally I will rip and tear any other thing that gets in my way and annoys me type deal for about a week. Because again, I was generally quite sort of upset about how the game, not necessarily how it was running, because I did think to myself, okay, it's probably early footage, but just how it's implementing the whole open world type gameplay into basically Sonic.
I've got to stop you there a little bit. It's not open world, it's open zone. A lot of people get hung up on that one thing. Oh, it's an open world Sonic game, but it has levels and it's separate, like different worlds, like Spyro. It's like, yeah, because it's not an open world game. It's called an open zone game. It's free roam like Spyro, but it's not essentially an open world.
Yeah, but effectively, really, when you look at this game, it's clearly Sonic Team looked at Breath of the Wild and saying, we want to do this, but with Sonic's mechanics. That's basically what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, but it's not Breath of the Wild per se. I say it's more. I say it's more classic Spyro.
Yeah, probably. Again, it's like, let's take the equivalent of like the size and scale of maybe Breath of the Wild, but let's apply it to, as you say, like how Spyro did sort of its levels.
Yeah, and even then, they can't go too far because we have the cyberspace levels, which we'll get to a bit later.
Yeah, but like I said, when I saw it, I mean, I did get up. Like I said, I was in quite a mood at the time, and I think I said in a previous video that I would go really hard if Sonic Team dropped the ball on this, which, didn't really need to bother because other people were doing my job for me, and quite frankly, way worse than I could. And what really got me down were 2 things. One was like, in my head, I was already imagining of, oh God, we're going to have like another 5 years of people bitching and moaning and making our videos of why this is the worst thing ever. And it's like, oh, I don't want this. This game's not even out. And already I'm like foreseeing the future, just the constant, oh, I do not want this. So that was getting me down the most.
Sonic 4, Sonic Elite, Sonic the Black Knight. It's the same tune, different verse.
I know, but it's the old bloody Sonic cycle thing. People saying, that whole shebang, which to be fair, it's like we got to a point now where us lot have made that bloody thing real. So it's less about this is how it's always going to be. It's like, no, we made an internet meme and made it come to real life. So thanks, guys. And the other thing also, because again, secretly, the thing I was kind of hoping with this game was like, I really was hoping that they were going to go in a direction similar to, say, how Insomnia did with the Spider-Man games they've done for PS4. Is in, if you're going to have this large area for Sonic to run around in, it's like, make the running parts of the game, the fun part. Because if you're going to go from point A to point B,
make it the primary gameplay loop.
Exactly, and like I said, with Spider-Man, it feels fun to do that. Getting from point A to point B feels fun because, again, you could do all these different tricks. You can go higher and lower. You can do shortcuts, all this tricks in the air. And I'm just saying, if you just take that element, but with Sonic's running abilities, that's in my head. I will admit this is all in my head. I was thinking, oh, they could totally do it this way and that way. And then when I saw the video footage, it's like, oh, it isn't. So, yeah, that got me down just as much. So
yeah, it's easily got the idea, they got the concept of it, but the actual execution with what we saw didn't seem like they knew what they were doing. It's like, okay, just put some elements of what Sonic does and scatter them about on this one open area. Because there's no rhyme or reason. Like, you can follow a certain path and go down there. Then it was like, okay, that was fun. What next? Oh, maybe that thing over there. So there's no, what's the word? Cohesiveness.
Yeah.
To what you are doing. But like we said, it's a much earlier build, and this is the open zone part of the game.
Yeah,
so,
and again, the strange thing about it was, of course, is like, again, as more videos came out from IGN, you know, and then subsequently, very quickly, Sega were like, oh, no, here's actual footage from the later build of the game. It's like, if you had these already, why didn't you put them in, you know, the IGN exclusive stuff? I get the extent that it's meant to be just the first showcase stuff, so for all we know, those videos, they feel more like they're probably like stuff they did for board meetings for Sega to say, here's what the game we're going at.
Yeah, this is your vertical slice of what to expect.
Exactly, yeah. So if anything, this feels more like we're just taking that and just giving it to a website to showcase, rather than let's actually show this off and really try and impress people with the game as it is now. So,
yeah, the later trailers post IGN, the one that showed off the enemies actually have names.
Yeah, they have. Some of them do have names. Yeah, I'll try and get the name.
Like Bubble. I think one of them was called Samurai.
One's called Tower.
The one with Samurai and Tower. Though that combat showed there, that looked a lot more fluid, a lot more snappy. Like, I want to pick up the controller and play this. I want the controller to play it right now.
Yeah,
because it looked so much more fun compared to facing the Bubble, the Soldier, and the Shell, I think it's called.
Is that the one where, like, you have to do a ring around and then kind of pop it off its body?
Yeah.
Right.
I called it a grenade, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they're all, like, designed in kind of weird, crazy designs, obviously, which, again, people have said, like, it's part of the game's, you know, whatever.
And people say, oh, it's just non-Sonic, like, it doesn't look like Sonic. It's just too realistic. It's like, you have played Sonic Adventure in 06, right?
And Unleashed.
Sonic has gone for more realistic tones than what you've experienced between 2010 and now.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, Unleashed was like the happy medium. You know, it's set in the, you know, Earth.
Oh yeah, it had real locales, but it just twisted it to a point where you have that fantasy element to it.
Yeah, it's kind of that, you know, hyper reality where it's like you can have humans in it, but they're stylized to fit in with these cartoon animals as well.
Yeah, speaking of which, there's a human girl in this called Sage, which I'm not too sure really. I wish they could went for a different color palette than what Infinite had.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people are pointing out that she does have a lot of attributes to Infinite, which I did say before. It's like, I'm not saying they're going to bring him back again if they're not going to try and do a twist or whatever narrative-wise, but it's, again, if this is like continuing that same theme of Infinite can change realities, or in this case, if she's an AI, she can bring stuff back from presumably whatever this worm's past is and then recreate them as digital avatars. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I kind of found like the sort of cubicle design for first.
I would be surprised if this was connected to Forces of Mania and say Ages. I think that's what the AI is called, because the girl's called Sage.
Yeah.
Clever naming scheme. Just take the word Sega and just change it around a bit.
Yeah, well, again, just very quickly, there was, again, a lot of the leaks for the game that came out like ages ago. A lot of them are now like being confirmed. Like the fact that there was a character called Sage was one of them. So yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. My little theory right now is if Sage and Age's AI created the Phantom Ruby. I'm not going to put too much down, just $10 on that for that theory to come true.
Well, yeah, well, speaking of the narrative, again, one thing that popped up for the Summer Game Fest, people who play the game, they actually did have some cutscenes to watch about the opening of the game. It mentions how, you know, Eggman supposedly discovers an isolate island and he uses an AI for something, and then something goes wrong. He gets sucked into a wormhole while Sonic, Tails, and Amy are chasing after him, and they get sucked in. And apparently the game opens up with the cyber level thing, which is you're in Green Hill Zone, but it's not the real one.
Yeah, speaking of the cyberspace level, a lot of people are really hung up on the fact that it's using nostalgic locales to, you know, utilize, because it plays like Sonic Generations. It's like, okay, first of all, numbnuts, you love Sonic Generations.
Yeah, that's the one now, because we've got Colors Ultimate thinking, this is a good one to stick with Generations now. So there's that.
Yeah, even though the actual design of it looks more like Forces than it does Generations, but I'm still betting that it's based on the memories of the characters. That's why they're all familiar. The same reason why, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a cop-out to use Green Hill, and later we see We saw snippets of Sky Century and City Escape, which, considering that this City Escape that we're looking at right now, god damn, that looks like a fever dream.
Well, like I said, I mean, is that City Escape? Because again, that could be Speed Highway, or what's the one from Empire City from Sonic Unleashed? What was that one called?
Skyscraper Scamper.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So people that said, "Oh, they're just reusing assets. They're so lazy," because on the one hand, I bet you
the thing though, a lot of games reuse assets all the goddamn time. Why does Sega get the freaking belt because they reused assets from a previous game or previous 5 games?
Yeah, but here's the thing: the more this stuff has come out, and again, people who were at Summer Game Fest were trying to get footage of it, and Sega didn't want people to see it. But
they were told, no, turn camera off now.
Exactly.
So everything we got was just so blurry.
Exactly. So people were trying to enhance, literally Blade Runner. It's take a look at the thing, enhance, and solidify. Is they're not going to happen. But here's the thing: there was one shot from what was clearly Sky Century, and the thing is, when I saw that footage, it's like Sonic running down a path and doing the quick step thing. My main take is that I don't think they're reusing the same level geometry, as in they're probably reusing.
It's a completely different design level.
Exactly. The level as Sonic was going down, I remember thinking to myself, those areas weren't as big as in Generations. So they are reusing the same visual, probably the same textures, whatever. But these are probably going to be brand new levels. I bet they will be compact versions of what maybe had Generations.
Again, people are still hung up on the fact that it's reusing the assets in the same locales we've seen before. But again, at the same time, as long as the context is based on memories, we have to have context as to why they look like what we've seen before.
Yeah, because like I said, the game apparently opens with you in Green Hills in this virtual world with Sonic escaping and then entering the huge area. So in a weird way, think of how Generations open. You just play, it's Green Hill, classic style Sonic game, and then once that's done, the plot kicks in afterwards.
Yeah, and it's time travel's used as a framework. There's the reason why we have all these levels from the past 20 years.
Yeah. So again, it's clearly they are narratively, again, we should bring this up. Again, it's clear that they're using them as bonus stuff. In fact, there was, again, IGN did a video about how they play those things. And again, they're just short, quick things. In fact, in a weird way, these are probably replacements for what special stages used to be in the classic game. So instead of getting you're in a tunnel with bubbles everywhere, it's you just get these quick snippets of classic levels remixed, again doing the whole it's the past.
Yeah, these are secondary to the overall game, probably even tertiary, because the secondary is the combat. So these aren't the main crux of the game. They're probably the most fun part because you want to go to the next cyberspace levels. I want to get more keys.
Exactly.
Which I'll remind you as well, the keys have a ring at the end, looks like an emerald.
Yeah, I mean the plot apparently is something to do with you have to collect the Chaos Emeralds, which
haven't been a mainstay or a main part of the narrative since probably a lot of people. Some people will say Sonic Generations, but they were just
Unleashed. I would say
Unleashed was the main, were actually the lore base really. Generations was basically, we had to get them because we have nothing else to fucking collect right now.
Yeah, there was just we got to get this thing to sort this thing out. But generally, it wasn't part of the plot. Unleashed literally starts off with you using them, getting the drain, and then having to put the world back because of them.
Yeah. So that's what 14 years since we actually had a lore-based Emeralds.
Yeah, and again, we are supposed to be getting a prologue with Knuckles, if you remember the Sonic Central things.
Yeah, we got the prologue. As to why with the Master Emerald.
So again, if this is to do with this wormhole thing Eggman's sorting out, then that's probably going to explain why the emeralds are there and whatever, maybe how Knuckles is involved or whatever. So again, still up in the air. But
tangentially involves is it's only focused. It only focused on Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Eggman.
Yeah, but speaking of which, talking about the plot more, it's again, this game is written by Ian Flynn, as we know, is the guy was behind a lot of the Archie stuff before that followed in, and then recently the IDW comics, is apparently involved in Prime in some capacity. I think he's a supervisor producer. But yeah, he's effectively writing this new game. And in fact, there was an article about how writing this is different from, say, working on, obviously the comics.
Yeah, with the comics, he's got somewhat of a free reign. He still has some mandates to actually fall within line, but he can still overall be the head writer. It's I want to do the story. Here's how the character's going to interact and all that.
Yeah.
With Sega's blessing. Whereas in this game, they already have the overall story.
Yeah.
We have the storyboards. He's actually filling in the gaps and making it not only making a story out of what Sega already gave them, but localizing it.
Yeah, again, this is I want to bring this up again because this is like I think a problem that people had with the last two writers for a lot of the past Sonic games.
Yeah, Warren Gaff and Ken Pontac, or
Yeah,
Pontap as they call themselves.
Pontac, yeah, they were kind of the double that. But yeah, a lot of people blame those like, oh, they just put the comedy and ruin the games in. It's like the thing is, they were asked by Sega to put that stuff in. That's why they were hired.
Yeah.
In fact, the way it worked was they would actually fly out to Japan, meet with Yukaza, and then chat about here's the game, here's the setting, we have partial of the story then, this is stuff you want to bring in or localize. And it was a team effort, It's still they asked for them. It's like you do comedy, we want comedy in our games. So that's why they were what they did for the games. But with Ian, it's like he mentions how the story for this one says is melancholy. He wants to give this melancholy feel about you being in this strange land, not knowing where your friends are or what these strange what these ruins are or what these enemies are doing. And as you go through the game, you have like an internal voice. Like there's, in fact, the enemy Sage actually is trying to stop Sonic from doing things, like talking in his head or something. And
yeah, trying to get him off the island. Like, forget anything right now, just leave.
Exactly. And as he says, the thing about it is that he pretty much does it is, Sonic's never say die attitude. It's like he isn't going to stop for anything. He's going to do what he can and what he can.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting.
I think because right now, a lot of people don't like Flynn because of certain aspects he actually added to the overall character of Sonic. And like a lot of people right now seem to be upset by the way Sonic is written in issue 50 of IDW.
Okay.
I haven't read it yet. I've seen a few panels online, and people say, like, I don't like the way Sonic's acting like this. It's like, you haven't really been. Sonic has always been like that. It's because of the past 10 years of this meta era of Sonic.
Yeah, we've had the meta era of like, we know this is dumb and silly, but we're going with it type deal, like the Deadpool.
Yeah, it only worked in Boom because that was a fresh slate.
Yeah, and that was more, and let's be fair, the TV Boom really laid into that. That was the main thing for that one.
Yeah, and it worked because these characters weren't meant to be taken seriously, whereas the, I guess, Legacy Sonic is meant to be more melancholy. He was melancholy in 2009's Black Knight.
In
fact, and even Unleashed. So yeah, to actually come and say like, oh yeah, colors and colors onwards was like, that's the Sonic we know now because that's what people grew with for the past 10 years. God damn, Sonic Colors is over 10 years old.
Yeah, God, we really are old gits, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfair to the actual whole legacy of Sonic itself.
Yeah. I mean,
even in the Archie comics, it wasn't written perfectly, but at least there was actually consistency to his character.
Yeah, I mean, so there was an interview with Yukaza from GameSpot where one of the guys would say, Sonic games are known for being funny, so will the game be funny? It's like, yeah, it'll have humor, but it can touch on other subjects, as you mentioned before. It's like, yeah, the previous games have touched upon about genocide, regret.
Yeah. Genocide, homicide, martial law, extinction. Actually killed off Sonic once.
Yeah, that one time when he died. Yeah, so they can do it. I mean, yeah, it's still a cartoon hedgehog running around fighting off a mustache egotistical loon.
Yeah, it's like when I said, I think it's way back in my Sonic Lost review, could have been a bit later. I said you can have drama in a comedy and you can also have comedy in a drama, but there has to be a good balance and reason to it, rather than say, hey, this is mostly comedy, but also I'm going to make sure this character gets kidnapped and you have to be sad about it.
Is that, yeah. So again, it's how you do it. And I think Ian Flynn, given his track record already, I mean, I'm betting we're going to get some decent dialogue for this game. That's the one thing I'm looking forward to, at least.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the other thing as well, before we quickly move on, I mean, again, talking about Sonic's character, I mean, you remember when we talked about Rise of the Wisps and people saying, oh, Sonic's really, really dickish to the Ghost Wisp because he's not paying attention. It's like, well, Sonic's kind of like that. He's not like he doesn't care. Because if you watch that whole thing, he listens to the whole story and he clearly like, okay, yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, he just listens to the important parts is, okay, aliens are in trouble, Eggman's a problem. Which is kind of a, layman's terms of saying it, and it sounds like kind of excuse the character in the writing, but that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair, he's done this how many times now, like Save the World from this egotistical loon, so it's like, unless it involves literally he's going to kill dozens of people, it's like, okay, now I'm going to take this seriously. So again,
even at the end of Sonic Colors, where he says, "Just say you're going to destroy us and just have done that. Leave the lame speeches alone."
Yeah. So yeah, he's used to this type of stuff. So it's like he's been on so many adventures. He's kind of gotten to a rhythm of like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. I know these type of people. Like even in Enforcers, one of the things I liked was Okay, so what's your name? What's your favorite name? Do you like on Summer Beach? What's your evil plan? So again, he's used to that kind of like, yeah, I know what you guys are up to, but I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
But until he knows when it's actually deadly serious, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna take the jokes out.
With that, hopefully, like I said, Ian Flynn knows how to write Sonic. He's been writing Sonic for the past what, since
Yeah, he did say
2005, probably onward 2006.
yeah, he has said as well as like he's been let loose with Eggman, so yeah, he's going to do some interesting things with him in Frontiers, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we talked about Origins earlier. Apparently, a lot people didn't mind that, so congrats.
Because they
We're
yeah.
looking forward to all the, what mods you can add to it. People have already added in the live system back into the anniversary mode, so you can play
Yeah.
those traditionally in widescreen. And hopefully
Stuff.
hopefully they'll fix some problems because, like I said, with the values being used, they can fix those as well because some people have been, I guess, backward engineering the Hedgehog engine, at least a public build of backwards engineering to
Yeah,
actually
but again,
mod and fix what's wrong with Sonic 3 Knuckles.
yeah,
On top of all that, the Hedgehog engine was used in Origins, specifically the menus,
yeah,
because those islands look fucking gorgeous.
yeah, they're nice. They're a nice little touch.
Yeah, and because of that, because of the Hedgehog Engine 2 being used, there was some leftover data that were referencing stuff from Frontiers, such as the Kodama Elder first talked, Hermit talked, Fishing Big first talked, Fish caught,
Yeah,
Voice Diary. So there's a lot of stuff that people have actually data mined the hell out of generations, the hell out of forces, so they know when something's different and new.
yeah, exactly. I actually should mention this because again, one of the things people have been wondering about because Yukaza, we talked about him last time about when you mentioned, oh yeah, we may do Adventure 3, and then everybody just lost their shit. And then he, weirdly enough, he actually replied back. He rarely does this because you sort of wait until like years later for him to talk back about this. But yeah, he did
When
say
you
like
when you mentioned Sonic Adventure 3, just prepared for a freaking avalanche.
exactly. I mean, he did say like I was asked the question, so I just answer what they say. And he mentions in this quote, I think this is what everybody gets stuck in the trap of. Whenever I say there's no plan, it's not happening, and then I follow it straight as someone who's close to the adventure series, in the future, it is a what if scenario. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to one day make a game like an adventure format for the future. That would be cool as an idea. But I think people's response to that is assuming that I'm making it now. So,
Yeah,
I did think
he clearly said that he'll hopefully use Frontiers as a platform for future sequels. And he's expressed interest in possibly making an Adventure 3. And like we said before, is it has to be an adventure game, not just using the adventure moniker.
Yeah, because again, Unleashed was going to be that, and then they decided this isn't it. We're just going to call it something else. Hence why it was called Unleashed here, but still given World Adventure in Japan.
And even then, it's not adventure free.
No, I mean it's got like the only elements is it's got a hub world, and the plot is something from the past.
That's probably the reason why Sega apparently went with Sonic 4 for that release because they wanted to sell. It's like Sonic Hedgehog 4, here you go, eat it up.
Yeah, so that's a whole case for another time.
So it worked. So you understand. So when people say adventure free, it has to be an adventure free. That's why people. I can emphasize, sympathize really, because I still kind of enjoyed 4, but Sonic 4 was just called Sonic 4, but it wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Mania was more Sonic 4, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm not getting that kind of worms, okay?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, from my experience, when they announced Sonic 4, my attitude is, okay, they're going to do a 2D style Sonic game. I never thought to myself it's going to be a one-to-one copy to the original 3 that came before it. And for what it was, I enjoyed it at the time. I think F2 was the better of the 2 games.
Yeah.
But again, I went in with the notion of these aren't going to be what people want the 2D games are going to be like, because they're just, time and money and whatever. But yeah, I still enjoyed them for what they are. And then Menu was like, okay, this is now the true successor to that. So
yeah, Sonic 4 is in name only.
Yeah. But again, it's like...
So that's the reason why when people want Adventure 3, you can't just slap Adventure 3 on the freaking box and call it a day.
It's a dangerous thing to do because so many people have their ideas of what an Adventure 3 should be. I mean, you've already said, you say, I know what Adventure 3 should be, but it's like, they'll be different from the next person and the next person. So it's like, even if they do it, there's going to be a lot of contentious about, it's not the version I had in my head type deal. So
I was going to say something else right now. I completely forgot what it was going to be.
All right.
Oh
But,
yeah, oh yeah. I've got to say as well, when people mention of Sonic Free and make a video on it, stop using my goddamn logo all the
yeah, that is,
time.
I know that is the blight that's becoming a thing. Whenever Adventure 3 is a thing, they just go straight for your logo.
Yeah, do you know out of the 20 people I've seen use my logo, do you know how many actually credited me?
Go on.
2.
Well, at least they bothered.
The first one was Premi Dremi. How you pronounce that?
All
I'm
right.
sorry, Premi Doremi. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't really. He credited, and someone else when I kind of called him out, not by name, just a screenshot of their thumbnail. They apologized and credited.
Okay.
So yeah, stop using my fucking logo, okay? Make up your own. If you want to use it, ask me, please.
Yeah. But yeah, getting back to Yuka's things, he also mentioned in several interviews that the game has been in development since 2017, and by 2020 they obviously split up and worked isolated work, and nobody's been back in the office since then. And he does lament the fact that when you're in a group of people, you can bounce off ideas and see what people are doing, as opposed to when you're isolated, you can't really tell what's going on. But yeah, they've been apparently working on this game since Forces came out. And apparently, when they started the island, somebody did say, like, how long would it take someone to get from one side of the island to the other? And they said, oh, when we develop it, yeah, you could do that almost very quickly. So we had to keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger as we went along. So they have definitely been workshopping this game for quite a bit just to figure out how do we make it work in this thing.
And also, it's not just the one island. There's apparently several islands.
Yeah, you just say there's more to come. Like what we've seen so far of that main area, that's just one bit to what else is going to happen. I think you can see some of them in some of the videos as well. You can see some of the other areas.
Yeah. So this is just one big island so far. Because we got, I think, I'm guessing right now there's 7 islands.
It probably
could be as low as 5 for all I know.
Yeah, I mean, it probably will be the idea is that you have like the forest green island, then you get more like, tropical forest and then mounty hill areas and that type of stuff, as you go through the game.
Or it could be as stupid as, hey, it's another island like Green Hill, but it's purple.
Yeah, that'll gambit. Yeah, so there is more to do. In fact, the main thing that they keep showing off a lot of the footage is that, like diamond-shaped building that's in the air with like some paths on, like still haven't seen what that thing's going to be like yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, so that's a...
So, no, something else I was going to...
Oh, yeah, the
I forgot I was going to talk about now.
Okay, but I can mention this before I forget. So one of the things that happened during Summer Game Fest, people tried it out, and the impressions were surprisingly good. Some people did like it. There was one guy, can't remember who it is, I might put it in the notes thing, did say, oh, this could be contender of Game of the Year thing, which is a bit generous, if I'm honest. It's a bit generous. Yeah. But the main thing that came through it was, in terms of controls, because a lot of people are asking, how does this thing control? Because from the footage, it looks like you just took in Mania's movement set and put them into this, huge world thing, which was again
Generations, not Mania.
Yeah, Forces. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it does look like that as well. Like a lot of someone else actually did a comparison between the IGN footage and the later footage we see. Like instead of Sonic just sticking to the wall, running up it, and there's no like reactions, Sonic actually kind of jumps off, flips, and lands back on the flat ground.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kind of like Sonic 4 Episode 1, where he kind of uncurls when he goes up a ramp, which no one liked.
Yes, I remember that.
But at least this actually works in conjunction with the geometry.
Yeah. Although the thing I remember thinking, again, when I saw the footage, like I said, my main worry was like they just took the Force's basic movement and they put it into this world. And it's like, I don't think that style of control works with this massive area. So that's why suddenly you have like rails everywhere and bounce pads and stuff that just relying back the whole, or just automated, just having bounce off this through rings and all that stuff. And I thought, oh, come on, guys. I thought we got away from that whole thing. But as more footage has come out, it's proven, okay, yeah, all right, there's a bit more flexibility in the controls. And it has been said that there are 2 methods of control in the game. One is more speed-based in combat, and the other is for platforming. So
yeah, we're told that, yeah, as we said, I think there was the Nintendo showcase that showed off a lot more than what I expected.
Yeah.
And the details kit did come out saying the 2 gameplay styles you can choose from. And furthermore, there's skill trees that can actually increase your speed and combat, including some unlockable special moves that we've seen, which again looks so awesome.
Yeah, I will say
I love that rapid kick. I love that rapid kick.
I will say the thing that I have seen people use that parry shot, that weird circular thing that comes up. So you just that parry shot, people have been memeing like crazy, and I'm like, okay, I'll enjoy this. So
yeah, the parry looks awesome. It's like there's no. I've seen a lot of games with a parry system. I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That has a parry, and it's nowhere near as cool as Sonic's.
I mean, you basically backhand it whenever he does a parry. Anyway.
It looked like he just backhanded the frick damn thing. It's like, Sonic, I know you're strong and all, that your spikes can break through metal, but please, that is just ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, we also seen the Psy Loop. That's the new ability where you can like put it again. When we saw the trailers, the after trail he gives off, so you can use that to light blow off things, or you can use it to get enemies off and that stuff. So that's been used a bit more, and it looks a bit more smoother. I think when you probably
upgrade. I actually played Forces recently because I wanted to try out a mod for the PC version, reimagined, which I think I already had. I didn't know I did that, and yeah. Realizing the controls in Forces seem a lot more stiff. Like I'm trying moving around, there wasn't no momentum. You're talking about momentum. Look at Sonic Forces movement, especially especially in the modern Sonic stages. They're so like, no, it's not. It just not stiff. It's like very, just like when you move a ball, you're trying to animate it. It's like there's no build up and slow down. It's just
it's very much it's like you try it when you move him. It's less of like him being tilted left or right rather than directing him left or right more deal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, especially when you go back to Generations or even Unleashed, there's actually more I'm losing words. When I think of very smart words, fluidity, that's the one.
Fluidity in the movement, yes, that's the main.
That seems to come back in this game.
Yeah, that was again, but the more footage has been shown off, as you say. So if the game allows you a bit more control, again, depending on the skill tree, if it allows you to do more things, be quicker, whatever. We know there's not a boost, but there's like that was the other thing because people again were wondering, have you just brought up the boost thing again? And it's like, not really. It's more just like a bit of a boost. It's not like you just boost to win.
Yeah, I would like the boost chips like they used in Unleashed Wii. Like you can get a good speed up, but not to a point where you have to hold it down just to get anywhere because you won't want to let go of that damn thing.
I mean, it's much more like just a sort of big push. That's more seems to be from some of the footage.
Like the air dash in Sonic 4 again. Keep bringing up Sonic 4 here. What the hell? Because the air dash in that was actually pretty useful. I think they used it again in Sonic Colors. Can't remember. Did they?
Yeah, well, they did. They did like it. When you're in the air, you could do like a bit of a push in the air, that type of deal. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that seems to be the game. I will say, going back to the Nintendo footage thing, again, they showed off a bit more. In fact, people have pointed out it is running on the Switch, and I'll be interested to see how that comes out, because, again, some of the previous Sonic games have not fared well on the Switch the last few years, so that'll be curious to see. But I did notice there is a bit where Sonic's running up a little corner of a hill, and he does like a bit of a flip in the air. And
that's what I said earlier about the geometry.
Yeah. Because again, back to the Spider-Man talk, like in that game, you can you'd be in the air and you could pull tricks off, whatever, before you have to web swing again. It's like, that's what I'm wanting to see. So it's like, it is building a bit more to what I'm at least hoping they would take cues from that game, if they have. I don't know if they haven't. But again, if they're going in that direction, it's like, okay, that's more what I'm hoping to see in the game. So yeah, maybe there's more to come. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a bit more reactionary than it is. And I can see what you mean about the game be a bit blurry, and a bit blocky. Looking at the image taken of him holding a key in the back, and the geometry in the background looks a bit, I don't know, just like kind of placed there rather than
the further away an object is. It's just that thing that you can see more, like the further away an object is, the more less detail it is, and you can sort of see like a line coming up, like, oh, here's the slightly higher res texture. But it is shown that it is running on the system, and hopefully, God knows if it's going to work or not, because like I said, the previous few games have all technical issues.
If you can put Doom Eternal on the freaking Switch, I think we're fine.
I know. I mean, let's be fair. The guys who made Doom Eternal on the Switch did fucking masterwork to make that damn thing run. So, if you want, I just say if you need that for another Sonic game, get those guys, but who knows?
Yeah, I think Sonic Team should do what Radical Entertainment did with Crash of the Titans, where they focus on the lowest common denominator, because they focused on making the Wii version the best version of the Crash of the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they kind of upscaled it for the 360 and just took the motion out for the PS2 version.
Well, again,
I think they should focus on making the Switch version more viable, and then just upscale everything else for the PS5 and Xbox One.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because supposedly that this is coming for PS5, X1, but also the PS4 and the last. What's the previous Xbox? You know,
Xbox One. You're thinking S Series X.
I know it's like, God, the might have the naming system of Xbox confuses me. But yeah, this is coming out on both new system in a few years after previous generation system. Sorry. So yeah, I am curious to see how this will run on my PS4 because I'm presuming on PS5 it'll be like 60 frames per second and all that stuff. But yeah, I'd be curious to see how stable it is on the PS4 because, like I said, I tried Spider-Man on my thing and it runs. It's not at 60, but
yeah, I'll be getting the Xbox version.
Okay.
Like as much as I want to have, I seem to have a habit of buying a Sonic game for every console. Like I have Origins on Switch, I have Forces on PS4, I have Colors Ultimate on Xbox One. Right. I also have Forces on Nintendo Switch and Mania on Switch and Mania on PS4.
Oh yeah, the Mania is the one you got the most, haven't you?
Yeah, I have like 4 copies.
Yes.
And like 16 copies of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 now, but whatever. Yeah, I'll be getting the Xbox One version so I get some comparisons to what our experiences are. Yeah. Maybe get a Switch version in the future. I don't know. If there's a ranking system, I'm guaranteed there's gonna be a ranking system for the cyberspace.
I'd be interested to see if the ranking system's back for this game because again, it was in Forces, and the way it worked was I can't really remember how it ranks you. You know, is it the same if you die many times or you don't have enough frames?
Oh yeah. It's not a perfect bonus, but it does tell you like you should have this more score or this time to actually get the next rank.
They have
and just playing the game like a lot of rings, a lot of score, no dying, no getting hit, and there you go.
Yeah. Funny enough, back to the combat thing, actually, in some of the footage you can see Sonic getting knocked down and losing rings. And apparently, when you get hit, you lose 40 rings each time. So there's like a set number of how many you lose when you get hit.
So going back to like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, supposedly. Although I will say this for the combat wise, you know, remember in Unleashed, is like those bloody. You remember those Titan bosses, the ones with the giant mallet that when you get hit by that ray, you end up on the.
It's literally called Gaia Titan.
You know, but like remember that thing, he does a shockwave attack where if you get hit, you on the ground and you have to press A to get it back up and stuff, which thank God they're not doing that with this guy. I'm so glad.
That was so bad. Skyscraper Scamper at night.
Exactly.
God damn.
It's on an area where
that one thing where you get knocked down and then flung the fuck off. Guess what? You got no more unleashed power to actually take out the Titan because you're not even fully powered up yet.
Exactly. Oh God, that was really bad. And again, it's like I mean, some people, again, I'm kind of curious still. The one thing I'm still waiting for them to do, if they actually confirm you can play as other characters, which we kind of talked about this before, which we know Tails and Amy are going to appear in this as like side characters because, you know, ever since Unleashed onwards, they've just not allowed you to play as anybody else aside from Sonic. So it would be odd for them not to do it for this game as like a bonus. If you finish the game, you can play as Tails or as Amy for or even Knuckles, you know, if he gets in the game as a bonus or something.
Yeah, it depends though, because right now this seems to be more of a narrative-driven game solely based around Sonic. That seems to be him. Like with Unleashed, it was solely about Sonic.
Yeah.
They could have done it for Generations, they could have done it for Forces, but they didn't.
Yeah, no.
But this one, I think, just solely as Sonic makes more sense. If anything, it'll be like Forces, where you just get DLC Shadow, maybe Blaze the Cat, because she's a speed character.
Yeah, again, it's like I look at it and I do think to myself, it's like they've been so timid of using them in any of the big game because, again, we said it before, it's like 06 was such a scar for them. It's like they've just not bothered to put them in any of the mainline titles as secondary characters to play as. So I don't know. It's like I would think it'd be interesting if they did bite the bullet in this one because I think if they're going this far, why not?
Yeah, but like in Sonic 4 Episode 2, again, Sonic 4 drops throughout this entire goddamn podcast.
You thought you heard the end of it, but now we keep bringing it back.
I think it's an underrated couple of games, okay? I think Episode 2 was generally underrated.
Episode 2, I played it on my 360 after ages, and I just like, it's just really fun. I like the
the reason they gave as to why you could not play as Tails in the single player because they had to, quote, redesign the whole game. Bullshit. Yes, you can.
I mean, you can. It's designed to have you two in that same area. So it's like you could easily play as Tails to fly in areas and all that stuff. So can't see why.
It's just I played through the entire game as Tails because you can only do it as 2-player mode and just press the A button on the controller 1 to do it. That's it. That's all you had to do. In this game, I would argue that it's solely based on Sonic's gameplay style. Because that's probably not only the one reason, yeah, they are going to be timid about using other characters than Sonic because it didn't work in 06, blah, 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 and all that. But right now, that seems to be that seems to be the only gameplay style that's available because with this, they would have to redesign the whole game, or at least a majority of the areas, to make it more viable for Tails and Knuckles or even Silver.
I mean, again, when you look at I mean, I will say that in combat-wise, some people say it is weird for Sonic to do this because if you put Knuckles in those areas, it's like that would make sense for him.
I would say the only character who actually would actually be viable to actually put in this would be Shadow because A, he is a speed character and does the same stuff Sonic does, and B, he has done combat before in Shadow the Hedgehog and in Sonic 06.
Yeah.
So hopefully, maybe there's some DLC, maybe there's some like, oh, here's an additional episode onto the games, like here's an extra hour worth of gameplay where you play as Tails and play as Amy. That would be the only way they could do it, where it's specifically designed for those characters.
Yeah.
Because you look at that, like levels of, say, Sonic Adventure and Sonic 06, the levels were meant to be very basic, and only a few elements were changed for each character because every character had to play through the stage. In Sonic Adventure, the only level you didn't get to play through as Sonic was Hot Shelter. Weird. There's 11 stages in the game, but that specific one, Sonic does not play through it.
Right then.
Yeah, but Amy, Big, and Gamma get to.
Yeah.
So, I think that's everything we know about Sonic Frontiers. There was also a bunch of name drops and some bios of the characters.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the last thing to say is, of course, about the date, because again, with all the drop, because people were going around like hashtag delay Frontiers, generally, I get for the most part, out of necessity because they were worried the game didn't look finished, and then UCAS are like, no, the game's coming out. We've been working this for like since 2017, so they're supposed to be finishing.
Yeah, this would have came out last year if it wasn't for the pandemic.
Yeah, it would have done if they could have, but yeah, if they've. Hopefully, again, they could be lying for all we know. Maybe it has been smart, but who knows? If they have been working on it this long, and it's like, and it is showing in a better state, it's like fine, but it's still, again, it's interesting how quickly that happened. It reminds me again about the movie business where everybody freaked out about the first trailer, which was the case of, again, it annoyed me because the thing that was annoying me about that is like, you are aware with the movie business was you change the main look of the character, you haven't changed the film. The film is still going to be the same way as it is. In the same way with delaying the game, yeah, you get rid of some of the technical issues, but the base of what they're trying to achieve with this game is still going to happen. It doesn't matter how long you delay it. This is the game they put the time and money into, and this is what they're going to release. So
yeah, it's going to take a lot more time. They probably won't release it until like next spring if they had to delay it.
Yeah,
or even holiday 2023.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I didn't think for 1 minute they would delay this game, really, because I just thought there was no way. I did say to you, I was worried. The only way to do that was like just to fix technical issues, which this supposedly have. And again, as I said before, it's like it won't fundamentally change the game what they want. And as I said, that was the thing that was upsetting me the most when I initially saw the video. But as time has moved on, and as I said to this point now, I really, at the end of the day, I want to get my hands on this game. I want to see what they've done with this, because at the end of the day, whether it's good or bad, I want to try out what they've done with this take of Sonic this time.
Yeah, so do I, because with all the new footage that came out post IGN's showcase, it's looking to be a much more refined and very unique experience with Sonic. I doubt it's going to topple a lot of people's expectations, because people have high expectations for every single freaking game that comes out. It's like, it's going to be a new one. Yeah, it's going to be a new best one. It's going to be the best game ever. Yeah, but I'm thinking it's going to be the same way I feel about Breath of the Wild, because it took me quite a while to get into that game. Because it wasn't like say, Skyward Sword, where it was basically the same formula, just a different locale, different type of combat and story. And God forbid, Skyward Sword is just the fucking worst. It's bad. It's a bad Zelda game. But Breath of the Wild is like, okay, we're taking the formula of the first game, applied it to the modern technical aspects and technology we have.
Game on and pushing it with everything we got now, basically.
Yeah, and it was a whole new different experience to what you normally have. With this, it seems again, a completely different experience to what you played in Sonic Forces. Forces was basically an additional verse added onto a trilogy of games. It wasn't. If it was a completely different game, it wouldn't have been, as bad. I still like Forces, but it wouldn't have been as so, like, I don't know, unpolished as it is.
I mean, the difference for me is like when Forces finally came out, when they showed off the avatar character and showing off what the game was going to be, is like my expectations were like, okay, I understand what this game is going to be, so I wasn't as disheartened by that. And
no, we knew what to expect. With this, don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Forces for me is like, in many ways, it felt like it was the follow-up to Generations 5 years later. It felt like if you did this a few years earlier, you could have got away with it, but it had been that long and you had another game in between that. It felt like, yeah, guys, you should have done something completely different, really, at this point.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Sonic Frontiers, hope we're going to get this in the holiday season. So prepare my birthday money. I guarantee it's going to be a late November release. Okay,
Yeah,
I put my birthday money on that, and I know how much I'm getting, and I'm not going to say how much it is because I can't afford it.
Well, depending if they do like a pre-order bonus as well, God knows what that would be like.
Or a deluxe version, because I've been doing that recently.
Put it this way: if this game came out of like a statuette of Sonic in that tower that we've seen in most of the footage, would you get that?
I don't know. I'll just be happy with an art book. Just give me an art book, and that's it. Because my Sonic statues have not left their box ever since I freaking got them. Sonic Mania and Generations dioramas are still in their boxes.
You are that type of person, are you?
Yep, just the box is on display. Like, I own it. There you go. Have a look. Don't touch.
I guess I'll end with this. Is like, for everything that's happened with Frontiers, I will say that for all people's initial reaction to it, I will say it's the one time where it's like, yeah, IGN didn't fuck Sonic fans over with this. It wasn't their fault.
No, it's actually have positive reactions to this.
Yeah,
which
and to be
is
fair,
a first.
Exactly, yeah. And let's be fair, we can't blame IGN for screwing this up. There you go, folks. There's the takeaway.
IGN, ignorant to the truth, but also not ignorant. I couldn't think of anything clever for that. It's just kind of a weird, bizarro world where IGN is saying something positive about Sonic the Hedgehog that's not based on the classic games.
Well, to be fair, we have been chatting about Sonic 4 quite a lot throughout this video, so there's double bizarro on this.